Welcome to the Monday Morning Wake Up Call with your host, Kerry Ramage, managing broker at Remax Elite, and Heather Holiday, your social marketing nut, talking about hottest real estate topics with a little weekly activity and motivation for the week. Well, good morning and happy Monday.
Good morning. Of course, as always, I'm not ready.
You
It's
need
a
to start
Monday.
practicing that.
I
Like have
know.
everything pre-done, so then all I have to do is go and refresh, mute, refresh, mute, refresh.
I know. I know. Ay, ay, ay.
Got to
So,
practice that.
happy Monday, the second Monday in January of 2022.
That's blowing my mind already that it's already the 10th. And I
I
guess
know.
I kind of feel like I lost 2.5, 3 weeks of my life.
Yeah, I know, because you've been out and
I did mean to ask you a question. So I love that we're doing this whole CMN weight loss challenge.
yes.
So I know, like, if I lose weight, that amount of pounds.
If you gain weight and you tell me that number, you don't owe me, but I'll deduct it from the total amount. So for those of you who are participating, I would just say this. If you gain weight, don't send me your numbers.
Because I realized I had gained 6 pounds since right at my surgery. And I think that's just because I've been eating, I call it my hurricane crap food, all that stuff that doesn't go bad that you can munch on.
Right.
Because, I just have it at my bedside, and, when I'm taking these pain meds, I have to eat like all the time because I get so grossed.
Right.
So I have to constantly eat. And of course it's, potato chips. And I mean, I have like granola bars and all that kind of stuff. It's just not as much fun, I guess.
Well, and you've never been a good pill medicine taker anyway, because you grew up taking medicine. So
no, luckily I haven't, I only took it the first couple days, but just still sitting in there. And then, Leo just likes to give me a hard time. I don't think it's intentional, but it makes me feel horrible. Like, to get me a drink or to get me something, I'm like, oh my gosh, if I ask him for anything, it's like he has to stop playing his game and get up and go, it gives me a hard time.
That's curious.
I know he's having fun and giving me a hard time in his fun way. But for me, that I'm just so used to doing everything. So, him having to do dishes and do all the meals and, my goodness, take care of all the animals is like, that's enough just in itself.
Right. So I hear you. It's funny. My mother, I might be taking my mother's dog, and I'm like, I really don't need one more animal. So that'll be 4, 2 cats and 2 dogs if I take her. So we'll see. But
I'm still waiting for this 8.5-year-old guinea pig to pass. Their life, all of his, I felt bad. Like, his poor friends died like 4 years ago, and he just refuses.
And he's just loving life. He's going to be like by
himself. It's like so lonely. So I don't feel horrible when the cat goes over and kind of plays with him. I'm like, well, it gives him something to do.
Right. That's hilarious. That's funny. He might be the new statistic for 2022 for the lifespan of guinea pigs. So just in time for us to talk about statistics and what we found a great article from Forbes magazine about what experts are predicting the housing market to look like in 2022. And we all know it's been a crazy 2 years. And quite honestly, if I'm really thinking back, even prior to COVID, things were starting to get crazy.
They were crazy up here when I moved, and that was pre-COVID. We just kind of, I feel like can somewhat relate where whatever, I just need a house. So, you finally get to the point where I can only look at vacant houses because I need to move in.
Yeah, you need to move in. You need to close.
Yeah. So, I mean, I kind of feel, and even just going to like my physical therapy, one of the girls is constantly, she's looking at houses and it's just, oh, we were supposed to go look at this tomorrow and it's already under contract. And I know that feeling. And that was
But that was pre-COVID.
craziness.
So this has really been going on for longer than COVID. And certainly COVID, I think, made it, I don't know if the right word is worse, but made it worse, made it more of a frenzy, more not enough supply, more, and then
Competitive. I
build,
mean,
yeah, builders can't keep up with demand because now they can't get supplies. But things were starting to get crazy before COVID started. So now we're in 2022, and it's funny. I was out with people, buyers this weekend. They're moving down from upstate New York, and their house sold up there, and here they are, and they've been watching the market here for the past 3 or 4 months. And like they said, every time we see something we like, it's under contract within a day or two. So as like in anticipation of their trip, they were starting to get worried. Are we going to find a house? Am I going to be in a VRBO for an extended period of time? And the husband kind of looked at me and said, if you were us, what would you do? And so I guess here's the first thing. Here's a disclaimer. I'm not an economist. I'm just a real
we have
estate.
no magic ball.
There's no magic ball.
And quite honestly, I mean, just like any other market, I mean, there's been where something happens in the world and everything changes. So it could be, here's our predictions, but I remember that before. I mean, Hurricane Katrina hit and it was like that real estate market stopped and completely in reverse. I mean, there was no slowdown. It was just like that bubble popped. And I don't feel we're in that bubble because I feel there's been so much, so many things that are different now than there were back then.
True.
Especially when it comes to the mortgages and appraisals and stuff like that.
And
I feel
but back then you were getting an appraisal and the appraisals were coming in $30,000 and $40,000 above what you were purchasing the house for because it was moving so quickly. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit. And then people were getting second mortgages for that difference. That's what was going on then.
And anybody could get a loan. And it's like everybody's brother's cousin's nephew was a lender and they're just doing these absolutely insane mortgages. And that was when I was doing real estate and I have no filter. And I'm like, no, like you can't, I'm going to get a raise or get a better job. So by the time this I have to.
It was something, this is kind of what was going on. Oh, you're a plumber. Well, plumbers can make between, I'm making these things up, $25 an hour and $125 an hour. So we're just going to say it's possible that you could be making in Brevard County, Florida, $75 an hour when you were really only making $30 an hour. And giving you loans like that. And, it was a mess. So
it's kind of like watching the HGTV and like, well, I'm a school teacher and I'm a firefighter and you can get a $2 million loan.
Right. Exactly. So that's not really what's going on now. So the husband looked at me and he's like, what would you do? And I said, it's funny. I had this conversation with somebody the day before. And the first thing that I said is there's a couple of things going on in the country, maybe even the world. I don't know. And certainly more so in Florida, and then even more so in Brevard County, Florida. So what I told him was, first of all, supply is down low. It's super low, whether it's because people don't want people in their house because of COVID, or because people are afraid to move because they don't know that they'll be able to find a house, which, I will say I've been very successful at getting contracts with home to sell contingencies. So you can still do it even in this market. But the supply is down, and then you have the problem with getting for new construction, getting the supplies. But we also have people moving here specifically because of the space program. So there's so many jobs coming down here, which is adding to our issue. And you have people moving to Florida. Mostly it seems from the Northeast, because they're unhappy with what's going on up there with regards to COVID, and so many more people can work from home. So they're saying, you know what? Let's move to sunny Florida, where whether you like them or don't like them, our governor has does. We don't.
You're open, and it's the same way in
We're
Tennessee.
open.
It's just nice to be able to
We're open. Yeah.
kind of have be in life.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
And what, like I said, whether you like them or you don't like them, whether you're in agreement or you're not, it really doesn't matter. That's what's happening here. And that's why people want to come.
well, and I think a lot of people, even just to be able to go outside, I want to be by the beach. I want to be somewhere where there's gorgeous weather. And now that I can work from anywhere,
Yep.
why not? I mean, there's a reason that Florida is kind of like the retirement capital of the world or whatever.
Right.
And now they're kind of able just to do this a little bit sooner because they can work remotely. So why not?
Right. Exactly. So we're having, an added issue with inventory. So that's what I said to the guy. I said, and look, and here's the fourth part. I don't even know which part it is. The interest rates are so low. And in many cases, people are getting loans for under 3%, which the only way I know how to describe that is that is like free money.
Yes, for sure.
Loan on a house and your interest rate is 2.75. That's like free money. You can make more, hey, buying a house and renting it, or in the stock market or whatever, than that. So that's driving it. Although we are told that the Fed is going to make 3 rate increase hikes this year. I believe the first one is supposed to be in March. And so after the 3 rate increases, though, we're probably going to land around 3.75, which is
that's what a lot of, what we'll get into.
Yeah.
That is something, and that kind of changes things because it'll change like the amount that people can afford.
Yeah,
for sure. But
I mean, when I bought my first house in 1994, I think it was, and I can't remember if it was 8.25% or 6.25%. Whatever it is, it's a lot more than it is.
I was 8%, no points, and it was like woo.
And I qualified. I was making $36,000 a year at the time, and I qualified for a $89,000 mortgage. Now, with the interest rate so low, you're qualifying for way much more. Karen Mann said the other reason why people are coming here is because of the boating, which I totally.
Well, that's what I mean. There's so many things that you can do outside where you're not. I mean, you think of it's winter right now. I mean, it's 30 degrees. I got 3 heaters going on, so it's not like I'm doing a whole lot of stuff outside. Whereas in Florida, I mean, it's everything. And
right.
What is it, like 75 degrees and sunny right now? So. Go to the beach, go boating, go whatever.
Yeah. So
the sky's the limit.
Ooh.
Getting some vitamin D.
Yeah, exactly. So when I was talking to this couple, I said to him, I said, look, all I can tell you is this. I think every family has to do what's right for them, but people are always going to be moving. It just is. There's marriage, there's divorce, there's unfortunately death, all the reasons why people move, job change. And even now, back when our parents were our age, people didn't change jobs. They had the whole same job, same career for the whole life. And that's not even the case. I saw on the news yesterday, it's a record amount of people who are quitting their jobs and not staying home and not working, but going into entirely different fields. It's like this COVID.
And I think a lot of that is because the sky's the limit. You can work from anywhere. Yep. So now that kind of opened up so many doors now that we know that we can use these technologies to be able to work for any company. I mean, it's quite fascinating how COVID has kind of changed that perception that you have to be in the office. I love that all I have to do is just take my bathrobe and just go downstairs and start working. I miss the water cooler stuff and the people part. Because all my friends are virtual at this point. I don't I need to make friends up here, but
right, exactly. That's funny. But and I've always been a work at the office person. For that reason, like I get more done when I'm at the office than I am at home, and because of the socialization and stuff. But we have some great agents here who are really good at staying in contact with people, and they never come in the office, and they seem to know everything that's going on. But back to what I was telling this couple, and I said to them, I said, I'll just say this: I'm probably buying a new house this year, and what's going on in the market, or the prices being high, is not bothering me, because, and part of it's because of the interest rate,
Yeah, and
so
because you're able to sell. So to me,
yeah,
it's like a wash. Like,
yeah,
yes, you're paying a ridiculous amount for a house compared to what, 2 years ago, but you're getting that ridiculous amount of money for your house too. So,
exactly,
so to me,
exactly.
it's always a wash. If I was renting and buying, it may be a little, I mean, it would, but you're still, I mean, to rent, you're just paying someone else's mortgage. So
Well, so what's interesting, so Tim Ramage, who does mortgages at the mortgage firm, he was renting a house, and his landlord, gosh, I can't remember how many months ago it was, maybe back in September? Yeah, August. His landlord decided they were going to sell. And so he had a big decision to make. Do I try and buy the house that I'm renting, or do I try and rent another house? And we started looking at rents and what he could buy the house that he was living in for. And he ended up buying the house because
it's
the rent,
probably cheaper than
yeah,
it is to rent. And the rental market's insane too. No, and that was initially why I ended up, buying my first house is, and interest rates weren't crazy, but it was still so much cheaper to buy than it was to pay someone else's mortgage. And then they have all this extra play money. I wanted that play money.
yeah, exactly. And what's interesting though is a lot of the top experts and economists in the real estate field are kind of saying the same thing. Um, so I'll just hear Danielle Hale, who's with Realtor.com. She's their chief economist. Still expecting 2022 to be a whirlwind, and we're still expecting to see home prices rise. But so the national average for 2021 from NAR, the National Association of Realtors, was 13.9%.
Increase. That's a great investment. If you had a, purchase property,
Yep.
that's pretty
Yep.
nice.
And so we're looking at probably they're all kind of saying somewhere between 3 and 5% they're expecting nationally,
Which is still a great investment.
which is right, which is still a nice. I mean, I remember my parents bought the house when we moved in Palm Bay in 1980, and they sold it in 1997 for not much more than what they bought it for in 1980, because homes just were really just like this, whereas now it's more like this. Well, it probably was like this, and we're probably going to be more like this, which is still good. I mean, it's still one of the best returns on investment, honestly. um, but if you're nervous and you're worried, I think you wait.
But there's still, I mean, the interest rate, it cannot stay where it's at.
No,
I mean, that's just
no,
like free money. It's crazy.
yeah,
I mean, how can the banks, I mean, that's just crazy.
yeah, yeah, and even like the National Association of Home Builders, Robert Dietz, he's saying that they're expecting a slower growth rate for home building in 2022, but I would suspect it's because of they can't keep up with the pace, and they're not getting supplies. I mean, I've had houses where we've had to delay closing because they don't have the appliances.
I believe that because I've been looking to get that Frigidaire air fryer thingy oven.
Well, and some of the builders are putting that into the homes. So one of my buyers who's going to close at the end of this month, that's the kind of oven that came from the builder, but it's not the one that like they were initially, shown or promised, so to speak. It's a little bit different.
Yeah, because I mean, that's been since last year. They just never have them in stock. And then there's this 3-row dishwasher I really want. I want that before the air fryer.
I know. I want a 3-row dishwasher too.
I just keep I'm like, honey, I know that air fryer thing, we like it, but I don't use the air fryer like the kids do. I want that 3rd-row dishwasher.
Yep. I'm with you on that. So Nick Bailey, who's the president of Remax, He says that uh, hopefully in the coming months, home buyers will find the coming months to be more advantageous for them. Sellers are still going to be in a very strong position, but he thinks that prices are stabilizing for 2022, which will bring some of relief to us. And then the supply chain issue, which is delaying new construction. Uh, we're thinking 2022 is going to continue to be good, but it's going to rebalance a little bit. It's
I think just kind of stabilize, and that's a good thing, just so
yeah,
it's not absolutely ridiculous.
yeah, yeah.
Let's see. What else do we have? NAR. So the mortgage rates, as they all are saying, mortgage rates are going to, have to go. You're saying that they're going to be raising 3
Yeah, the
times.
Fed announced they're going to be making I believe it's three rate hikes this year.
So they're still saying only 3.7% by the end of the year. That is still insane. That's still free money.
For an interest rate. Yeah, yeah.
That's still crazy.
Yeah, that's from Lawrence Yun, who's the chief economist for the National Association of Realtors, and I've had an opportunity to see him speak a couple of times, and he, from what I've surmised, he's very conservative. He's not. I mean, like most economists are, I think, probably. But he's fiscally conservative, so I don't think he's overinflating everything, and he's he doesn't see that home sales are gonna crash, and it's because we are still gaining in jobs, even again with so many people even just changing their entire career. It's crazy.
But, I mean, it's cool that we can kind of do that kind of stuff, and it makes it competitive.
Yeah.
For everyone.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. Yeah. And that
one,
hopefully,
I think one thing that we learned from 2020 and 2021 is people are, they want to find a job that they love. And then it's not a job. There's some quote about that. I can't remember what it is.
No, but that's me. I mean,
yeah. Find a job that you love. You
never work a day in your life.
That's it. That's a quote. Thank you.
So let's see. The National Association of Home Builders. So they're, I know that because our plan, since we just kind of bought a house, and then we figured then we would start looking, and we were just starting our looking before the world ended. We've just decided we love our area, so there's nothing wrong. I'm not thrilled with the house, but it's not like I want anything really fancy, because I don't want the kids to want to stay.
Right.
So just need to do some little tweaks here and there. But we do have like our 5-year, and we do have like this home that we've been drooling about since we initially were moving up here. But they're on a 2-year wait right now.
Wow.
So it's like crazy. But so we have like our 5-year goal, and now we're just kind of working towards obtaining that. But yeah, so, and that's a manufactured home. That's, but they're 2 years out.
Wow.
They were 6 months, and that was mostly prepping land and stuff.
Right. Well, now because they can't get them manufactured. I mean, even so, at the end of this month, I'm going to be closing on a new construction with a buyer. We went under contract last February, and it took that long. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's as bad as ordering the Bronco.
Yeah, and I have someone I just put under contract on a new construction 3 weeks ago, and they're saying 8 to 10 months. I suspect it'll be 10 to 12. Yeah. Crazy.
I mean, it's interesting, and it'll be interesting to see what happens as we move forward, as the interest rates rise, to see it somewhat stabilize.
Right.
I mean, I still think it's going to be a great time to be an agent. That's for sure.
Oh, for sure. Right.
I mean, I don't see that's going to be changing at all anytime soon. I mean, I feel we were close to making a turn to the buyer's market right before COVID, though, because our months of inventory was starting. It was slowly creeping up to that 6-month mark. And I always like that because that's when you get all the part-timers and people who sell 1 to 2 houses a year get a real job. I know that sounds horrible. That sounds horrible. That's not intended to be mean, but those that are full-time understand what is the 80
80,
10%
20% of the industry does 80% of the business.
Right. And it's hard when you're working with someone who sells 2 houses a year because they don't know what's going on.
What can go wrong? What, they don't have. Yeah.
So you're having to do double the work to make, to make sure everything is seamless. Because real estate in general it's not black and white like the text. It's completely gray, and you learn with every single transaction. So if you're not doing a lot of transactions,
every single one is there's something new and different comes up. I mean, even here, one of the biggest things that we're having is insurance, getting insurance on a house. And the current homeowner may have insurance and not have a problem getting it. And so when you're saying to the, well, I'm sorry, Mr. Homeowner, but your roof is 16 years old and the buyer's going to have a problem getting insurance. And Mr. Seller says, but I have insurance. Why will the buyer have a problem? They sometimes they think you're making this stuff up. And it's like, I always say, well, if we don't want to do anything about the roof now, we can roll the dice and wait for the home inspection to come in and the wind mitigation and see if they get insurance, and then we'll renegotiate then. Or we can try and, let's take care of it now so that when we're negotiating, we're in a better spot. I mean, I can't tell you how many houses I closed on in the last 2 years where I had to negotiate a new roof. And many times if I was on the buyer side, because the agent on the other side doesn't know that this is a big problem in the insurance industry. Then we're also having a problem with water heaters in the insurance industry. If they're over, I think, 20 years old, they're not wanting to insure the home. And it's, it's not a problem when you already own it, but it's a problem when they have to issue a new policy. And one of my friends is an insurance agent in Tampa, and she posted something the other day. And I'm not going to get the stats exactly right, but it was, maybe see if I can pull her up and see what she said. But it was something to the effect of there's 100 and I feel like it was 180 people writing business. Let's see. Darn it, I can't find the exact thing that I was wanting to see. There's 384 lawsuits filed each day for insurance in the state of Florida currently. It's crazy.
Claims?
Lawsuits. So they're filing a claim and then they're filing a lawsuit because they're not getting paid. And guess who's paying for that stuff? We all are in our insurance.
Right, because it goes up. And I know a lot of that when when we have like the hail damage or something like that, and you have these companies that are constantly, we'll do all this, and really they're raising the rates because they are like having a ridiculous, I don't know. I just remember that was kind of like a big deal with these companies that kind of,
that's what she
we'll take care of everything.
She goes, well, somebody said to her post, people are going into litigation because the insurance companies don't want to pay. And then the insurance agent says, well, that's not really the case. What's happening is there are these roofer companies coming in from other parts of the state, knocking on the front doors saying, well, we're gonna fight to get you a new roof. And it may not be. I
mean, the sad part about that is I know going through those hurricanes, that 2005, 2006, dealing with the insurance company was an absolute nightmare. So
I just found
it's so hard.
Yeah.
These companies wouldn't, even exist.
This is what I thought was interesting. Only 3 companies have a cumulative positive net income in the last 5 years out of 52 residential carriers. 52 residential home insurance carriers, and only 3 have a positive net income. So back to what you were saying about if you're not doing a lot of business, you may not be coming across this stuff as often. So
right, and that's really where I was even going with
I know.
get
And
so
I went off on a
twisted.
tangent with insurance, but that's just an
That's what we
example.
do. That's just what we do.
But that's an example of, if you're doing this day in and day out, you're seeing it happen. Our friend Tracy Candell just said hello, and she's in the title business, and I'm sure she's seen it. Like at the 11th hour, people are not getting insurance, and deals are having to be renegotiated and redone because of that. So as long as you know that that's a potential, you're
And
planning
that's
for
where the
how.
consumer, I mean, just yes, your friend may have just got their license, but I mean, unless they're kind of being mentored by a seasoned agent, I don't know.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah,
See you
exactly.
It's crazy, but that's really where I was going. Where I always get excited when I see that market kind of turn to the buyer's market, is because it kind of weeds that out. Because I mean, it's ridiculous the amount of. I mean, like everybody has somebody who's an agent. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean they sell a lot of houses.
Right. And yeah, and yeah. 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 I mean, hey, here's the thing. As long as your agent is always educating themselves, always learning, always trying to see what's going on in the industry so they're able to overcome any issues, you're good,
I see that a lot beachside. It's crazy.
Yep. There you go, Karen. We are seeing a lot of that beachside. I just closed a house in Cocoa Beach. It needed a roof. And the current owners were paying almost $4,000 a year for insurance. The new buyers, until they get the roof, their insurance was over $9,000 on a $550,000 house. Yeah. So insurance can price you out of the house. You're getting great interest rates, but the escrow for the insurance is going to knock you out of being able to buy a house. So
right.
Yeah, it's totally crazy out there. Anyway, so just hang on before you just to round up real quick. Again, Heather and I are not economists. We don't have the crystal ball, like she said, but if you're reading and you're looking and you're seeing, almost everybody in the industry, economists are saying that 2022 is still going to be a good year for sellers for sure, but we're going to get some relief, hopefully, for the buyers, so it's not a crazy frenzy.
And it's still great time to buy with interest being basically free money. That doesn't seem to really be changing this year. But even if it goes up,
if it goes up to just under 4%, and you think that's high, you should have been around in the early 80s when it was 7.
I remember my grandmother, like, all excited. She got an 18% interest, and that was like awesome. That was probably early 80s, maybe.
1980. I'll never forget. My father wouldn't close on our house here in Palm Bay because the interest rate was 21%. And finally, when he got 17.75 is when we were living in a hotel for 6 weeks so he could get a better interest rate. It was nuts.
That's crazy. Because that's what I remember my grandmother. We were always talking about that because that's when she was selling real estate. Yep. So, we're just talking about the interest rates and how crazy, like in her mind, because she probably retired in the late 80s.
Right.
So for her, like this 3% is just unheard of. Like, we're in crazy town right now. What is going on? So, it's just, but I think houses in Palm Bay were probably 40,000 back then too.
Right.
It's crazy. Craziness. Yep. But
exactly.
It is funny, but it is nice. Still a good time to buy or sell.
Yep.
It'll be nice if it kind of stabilizes a little bit so that it's not so crazy. I feel all agents need their therapist license about right now for themselves, for their friends, and all of buyers and sellers.
Exactly.
It's tougher for everyone involved in these transactions. So hold strong. We got this.
Exactly. Oh my God. So
what are we doing this week?
This week, work on projects that challenge you, but that you have an aptitude for. So don't pick some project that you like, if you've never tiled a bathroom, don't start doing that. But pick a project that challenges you, but that you have a propensity or an aptitude for, and aim to reach a state of flow in the workspace. I like
the flow. I like to be challenged, but then you you do good at it, and then it becomes part of like a habit, I guess.
Yep, exactly.
And words of wisdom is opportunities don't happen, you create them.
So true. So
Thank
true.
you.
I was watching stupid Hallmark movies yesterday, and the one of the movies, the man's father had passed away, but it was like that was the theme of that one movie was that, like, the father would always say, things aren't going to just fall in your lap. You have to go out and create it.
Well, just like your thing, the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Yep.
I love that because it's so true.
It
It's
is
so,
so true.
people see the success, but they don't see, like they see the beautiful tree, but they don't see the roots of that and how that was actually developed. So
Exactly. So
seeding. So that's awesome. We've got some great shows lined up. Make sure subscribe to our podcasts. For the full actual Forbes, it has a ton of different quotes from a lot of different people. Go to our MondayMorningWakeUpCall.com. On the blog, it actually has a link to that PDF for Forbes to have all of those. We just chose a couple of them.
Yep.
But of course, if you have any show ideas, we'd love to hear them. Subscribe to our podcast. And until next week, wake up, kick ass, and repeat. Bye, everyone.